It's an absolute pleasure and honor to be here in Carrier Technologies India Limited, speaking to the MD of the company. And Nanda, thank you very much for having us in the Innovation Center here at Carrier. Nanda comes with about 30 years of experience at Carrier. He's a lifer at Carrier. And look forward to our conversation, Nanda.
Thank you very much, Deepa, for having me in the program. Really look forward to our conversation today.
Nanda, you've come with about 3 decades of experience and you're a veteran at Carrier, right? Any particular initial thoughts that you would like to talk about your journey?
Sometimes it feels like I just joined yesterday. Time, I guess, flies. But I started this journey in Carrier in 1995. I spent the first 15 odd years in the US in the commercial refrigeration side, and then I moved back to India to be closer with family in 2009. So last 15 years I've been here. I've really enjoyed every one of my roles in here. Spent a lot of time in products, in manufacturing, and operations and management across geographies. So I come to work, I believe, with the same amount of enthusiasm today that I've had on day one.
Okay.
I assure you of that.
Yeah. Thanks, Nanda. And I've been a lifer at Deloitte as well, so there are a lot of synergies to start with.
This is the only company I have worked.
Yeah, same with me. Yeah. Okay, now coming on in terms of the digital transformation that's happening from an India standpoint, and considering the various geopolitical situations that we are having in India, and engineering is the core in terms of what we can possibly do from an India standpoint. What are your views, Nanda, in terms of how innovation engineering can transform and make India a lot more in the global market than where we are today? What are your thoughts?
No, I think you're absolutely right. I believe we have been a growing economy for some time, and I believe that we will be poised to become one of the third largest economies over the next few years. So I think there's a very strong tailwind there of growth. And I think India also has a large number of STEM graduates and engineering capability, digital capability over the years that we have been building up. So I think that also is definitely there. And I believe that what's happening is, as the world and the economies continue to evolve, we are seeing a lot more push for more products in India. For example, India as a growing economy will require more manufacturing, more engineering, more products. So from that standpoint, there is organic growth within the country itself. At the same time, I think India also provides a lot of engineering and digital services and technologies to the rest of the world. So there is an India for India story, and there is also an India for the global story. Right. And I think in both of those areas, I think engineering is very core. I think there's roughly about 1,800 odd GCCs in India, all providing various levels of service, whether it's somewhat more focused on digital, some more focused on engineering, about $65 odd billion of revenue for India.
Right.
But if you put into context the amount of money that the globe or the world spends on engineering, it's probably close to $2 trillion. So I think that a lot of the growth and chapters are still yet to be written.
Right.
As we continue to grow the local economy and industry, obviously we will also have growth that's happening not just in engineering, but also in all the other areas, and get more supply chain, get more ecosystem, get more labs, and get more capability. So I believe that we'll be on a very strong wicket and going forward.
So Nanda, in summary, we are at the tip of the iceberg, and there's a whole lot of opportunities that's available for India from an engineering space, and the tech leaders being able to collaborate together and take things together will make a lot of difference, and that's the opportunity that I see.
Yeah, I think there is a push towards becoming more self-reliant, right? There is more localization work that's kind of happening, and that wouldn't happen overnight. And it is not just work that happens in the office, right? So you need to kind of get that entire ecosystem to really work with you, and it then becomes a virtuous cycle, Deepa, because one thing leads to another, and then you keep multiplying that particular effect. So I see that happening.
Yeah.
And what also happens is the work that we have been doing, let's say, which has been in pockets, maybe more software oriented, more controls oriented, more transactional work, over the years will become a lot more strategic. It will become a lot more systems oriented. So as we get into higher order work out of India, I think the spend will naturally also increase in that direction.
Okay, and that's where you really see that's going to be the most important part for a tech leader in terms of how they position themselves.
Absolutely, because I think, look, you need to be close to where the value is really
Right.
being created,
Right.
and as these kind of develop, I think it offers the tech leaders a very good opportunity to play, across those domains. When customers come to us, they don't come to us because of only tech capability or engineering or man. At the end of the day, they come to products or services because they believe and they trust in those products.
Right, right. So the opportunity that is there for India as a country is enormous, and for the tech leader, it's to be a collaborator and bring everything together. Is the opportunity that we see
Yeah.
for India as well as the tech leaders out here. Earlier, when we started our journeys, let's take 20 years back, right? Tech was always behind, right? There was business, and then tech was behind. A few years back, we were talking about tech is the way that business will, how business can drive. Today, tech is business, right? Any manufacturing company that you see or any product company that you see, right? They call themselves as tech company. How is this transformation that has happened? And how are emerging technologies like, I don't know if it's any more emerging, but then be it our cloud, AI, analytics, automation, how is it changing this particular digital transformation?
I think it's a great question, and frankly, as our products evolve, and I agree with you. If you were to go back maybe 30, 40 years ago, products were frankly more mechanical in nature.
Right.
It was, and there was really a little bit of software, a little bit of controls, but it was primarily mechanical in nature. But I think over the years they become more electromechanical. They become really more software governed, frankly, and our products are going to be no different. And frankly, if you take a look at one aspect of our products, which maybe not a lot of people understand, a lot of the world's energy is actually used in buildings. About 40% of the world's energy is actually used in buildings. And a lot of the energy inside a building is used by the HVAC systems. And I'm just using an HVAC example.
Right.
And one of our core areas is going to be on sustainability and how you really make products better for the world that we share. And frankly, a lot of the tech really kind of helps in driving, extract some of those efficiencies. For example, if you've got AI solutions or energy efficient solutions, a lot of tech really governs the way in which you take decisions, the way in which you process information, and the way in which you manage the systems so that you minimize the waste and get the most or the maximum possible benefit, and get the most intelligent solution that you have out there. So I believe that it's that even if you take a look at AI, for example, I believe the chapter is still being written.
Right.
And it's really about how it's going to help us unlock the potential and the productivity for really our workforce. I think it's going to make some things easier, but also it's going to make us change the way in which we think.
Right.
How are you really going to drive value? Is your value being driven by making processing which can, let's say, be done by an agent? And then you really need to understand a little bit more about what we are trying to do and why we are trying to do something. And I think that's really where AI is going to become important. You mentioned about cybersecurity and frankly, not just physical security, but I think cybersecurity plays a very large role. So we want to make sure that the data and the information is safe. And frankly, a lot of these decisions need to be taken upstream, right? You can't just kind of bolt on something at the very end. So I think that is really where that integrated nature of the development kind of comes in. It doesn't matter if you're talking about the way we are architecting products or really our operations or our governance or the way we are, let's say, working with the regulatory agencies on these. But frankly, I think cybersecurity also plays a very central role.
Right.
It doesn't matter if it is cloud, doesn't matter if it is AI. I think these are all key enablers as long as we use them to solve the right business problems.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. Thanks, Nanda. So there are two or three takeaways for me from what you mentioned, right? That the journey of AI is being written. So I was reading a report which was published by Deloitte, which said that 25% of companies, or 23 to 25% of companies, have adopted AI, and 73% of 75% of the balance companies are trying to get use cases. So the journey has just started. And the most important part that you mentioned is AI needs to be looked at to solve a business issue, rather than it being on a standalone basis. So that's the second takeaway that I have. And the third one is cyber in everything that we do, right? Cyber by design is something that is very, very core, right? And the way I look at it is, if you're looking at digital transformation, it is AAA plus C, which means that automation, AI, and analytics combined with cyber is the way that, the digital transformation will kind of happen.
I think I agree with you. I think it's, we are striving to get all things connected, all things intelligent. So
That's right.
I think that's the journey.
Okay, thank you, Nanda, for that. In this particular journey, right, if you have to talk about 3 strategic priority for a tech leader, right, to making sure that they look at business, right, how would you define that?
See, I doesn't matter to me if you are a tech leader or if you are a business leader.
Right.
I think the value is being, the value is really what the customer sees.
Yeah.
So I would really put the customer at the forefront of it and then work our way backwards.
Yeah.
So number one, how exactly are we driving, the customer value? There are things that are going to be important for us as a business. There are also things that are important for the customers. So what is important for us may not necessarily always be the same thing that is important for the customers. So,
Right.
so I think really need to make sure that we keep the customer first.
Right.
The second thing is, in the current world, it's not about everyone having a strategy. It's not about having a separate digital strategy, a separate engineering strategy, different supply chain strategy. I think all of them need to be coherent towards one. So, even in career, there's a very big emphasis on goal alignment. So we need to make sure that what are you really driving towards as a company, and is everybody down the line, all the 50,000 plus people working in conjunction with that particular goal alignment. So I think one of my advice is to make sure that there is a coherent goal alignment process in place, no matter what you kind of call it in each of those areas. But I think that's going to be important.
Right.
And last but not least, you need to really make sure that you understand the customer and the life cycle effects really well. You can't really get that by sitting inside a classroom or a conference room or inside the office. I think it's important for tech leaders to partner with the business leaders and get out there into the field, understand what's happening. For example, for us, when you ship out a product from the factory, the journey doesn't stop. These products could be in the field for 20, 30 years after that. So what happens through their entire life cycle, from the time that you are conceptualizing a product or taking an order, to the way you manufacture it, to the way you service it. So similarly, in whichever area that you are in, the entire workflows and life cycles, I think the tech leaders really need to understand there is no substitute for frankly understanding how the customer interfaces, interacts with the product or the service for that matter, in the field. So partner up with them.
Right, right. Very rightly said. Customer first, I think that's not changed, right? But making sure that we think in everything that we do, customer first is very important. I remember you mentioning, Nanda, sometime that you have a chair in your innovation center which says focus on the customer. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So we, frankly, in our center we start every day with a huddle.
Okay.
So it's a way for essentially our entire leadership team to come together at 11 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
Everybody grabs a cup of coffee and we sit down, and there is always an empty chair in the huddle.
Right.
And that chair is titled the customer.
Okay.
Because it is an all-pervading and also an unseen presence inside the particular room. So we want to start each meeting with the customer moment. That's really what our CEO has been pushing and asking us to all focus on, because it kind of brings in that outside-in perspective. Hey, look, what is the impact that we are having on our customers? So maybe it could be a customer success story. Maybe it's a particular issue that didn't work so well. But I really believe each of these are learning moments for the team. So we really kind of start off the meetings with the customer moment, because I think it's important to keep that in mind. Otherwise, you will spend a lot of time focusing inwards rather than focusing outside in.
This is a great practice, and it's wonderful to know that maybe we should also do that in our huddles, to say that let's bring customers in the center of everything.
By all means. Now this year we've also started sending our people out to the field. So I've been asking most of our engineering leaders to at least spend 2 days in the field. I have, as a younger engineer, I have learned a lot from our service technicians in the field, and I have enormous respect for people who touch our products, who are out there in the field. So I think the more we understand what's kind of happening there, Deepa, the better decisions that you will take, at the front end.
Thanks, Nanda, for that. That's a great takeaway for me. Thank you very much.
So frankly, I think sustainability is at the core of what we do at Carrier. We have already announced that we will take out 1 gigaton worth of CO2 emissions by 2030. We've also announced getting towards a net zero by 2050. So I think those are bold and ambitious targets. We're also spending a significant amount of investment in the development of intelligent climate and energy solutions and sustainable solutions kind of going forward. When I look at sustainability, Deepa, I have got 3-4 different buckets that I kind of put it in. And I'll try to give you some context in the local India context, But the first element, when we think about air conditioning in India, a lot of people think about cooling. But frankly, in a lot of the parts of the world, it's actually heating. And the first part, or one of the first secular trends, is this whole thing about electrification. That is, do you want to really burn fossil fuels, towards generation of heat, or do you want to use more heat pumps? So there is a lot of this trend that I see across the world that's kind of happening, and I think that's going to drive more adoption of HVAC technologies, worldwide. So really, there's a big part of this electrification trend that's actually going to help us. Right. The second thing is the nature of the products. As we've mentioned, buildings consume a large part of the world's energy, and within a particular building, the HVAC consumes a very big part of that energy.
Right.
So, and these things last for a long time. The products are, depending on the type of the air conditioner, they could last up to 25 or 30 years. So what do you do in the overall life cycle of the product to make it more efficient and to make it more helpful for the planet overall?
Right.
I think that was really part of the question. And frankly, a lot of the technologies and the innovations go hand in hand in driving and extracting this efficiency, whether it's on controls, whether it is on use of more inverter type of components, whether it is on using AI to make better decisions. How do you make sure that the occupants have good indoor health, good indoor air quality, while also having proper energy efficiency? Another big part is actually on the refrigerant itself, Deepa. I mean, I know since you said you are a lifer in Deloitte, many years back we used to hear about the ozone depletion potential.
That's right.
For example, even the refrigerants, when they go into the atmosphere, typically the chlorines, some of the hydrochlorofluorocarbons and the chlorofluorocarbons, sorry, I don't want to get too much to the tech side, but those actually have an effect on sort of depleting the ozone layer that we have, which is very important for us. Similarly, the hydrofluorocarbons also have potential for raising the global warming potential, the GWP as we call it. So, if you take out the chlorine, you take out the chlorine to take care of the ODP, you take out the fluorine to kind of address global warming, and then you're left with hydrocarbons, right? Obviously, so there's a lot of work that happens on the new generation of refrigerants and making sure that those are more environmentally friendly. And last but not least, I think is also on the choice of materials. I believe that the materials that you use should also be more sustainable. So whether it is electrification, whether it is life cycle optimization on energy, whether it is refrigerants, or whether it is on sustainable materials, I think these are all frankly very core to what we do in Carrier. And I think tech plays a very large part in making sure that we are extracting the efficiency out of these.
You had earlier mentioned about AI, how AI is being used to drive this particular innovation and sustainability. And I can't agree more with you, Nanda, that it is an ambitious targets that you've set for yourself, and wishing you the best in that particular journey. And I guess the innovation that you do at Carrier will definitely help in reaching that particular targets that you have. Just moving on, Nanda, now coming to we spoke a lot about technology, right? Now coming to the human part of it, in terms of the talent, right? While there is a lot of talent available in India, the engineering graduates who pass out every year, and on the other side we have AI coming in as well, right? So what are the measures that you take to making sure that the existing people, professionals and people within your organization gets more savvy to technology, especially AI, Gen AI, and also to see how you can the population that's coming in as freshers into your organization, how are you embedding AI or Gen AI in terms of whatever people are doing within career?
Okay, wow, there's a lot in that question, but look, I think I think the number one thing that sets our talent apart, frankly, and one that we're very proud of overall, is I think the learning agility, the ability to really learn new items, and I think AI is only going to force a higher degree of change inside that. So I think there is this pressure to sort of unlearn, relearn, upskill, reskill, this on a continuous basis. And I don't think we are going to be any different than most of the players out there. So I think number one, the desire to learn, I think is very core. And the way in which we learn, I think, is also rapidly changing. For example, what I've also seen is there is, for example, in the local India context, there's a preference for really more classroom or more instructor-led.
Right.
But frankly, going forward, that may not always be possible. So we are actually making our teams also become more conversant and more open to learning, learning essentially at their own pace, but also having the right curriculum.
Right.
Historically, see, one of the things is L&D shouldn't just be an HR type function. L&D is very core to every leader in how we kind of develop our talent for tomorrow. Now, while there is the soft skill side of it, which I think is going to be important in a connected world, we want to know how the people know how to talk, how to present, etc. All those.
Correct.
At the same time, I think the technical part and the technical curriculum has really to be driven by the tech leaders, by the individual functional domain experts, etc. So there is a variety of areas that we are really kind of hitting our talent with.
Right.
One is, I think, there's fundamental tech learning, and you can partner with multiple service providers that are out there, which is really the core technology part of it.
Right.
Second is, how do you apply that technology to things that matter to you?
Right.
So how do you really kind of put that into let's say an HVAC context, or how do you really put that into a particular domain context, the business context? And then the last part of it is not just a tech element, but for us to really unleash the power of this, you need to make sure that it is solving the right business problem. So how do you also make sure that there is some level of, master classes or domain expertise on having, really that connect with why are we doing it?
Right.
I think you need to that the education here, Deepa, is not just about the what or the how. I think we also need to add a little bit of the why.
Right.
I think if you understand the why, the what and the how will kind of follow a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I think AI is going to be no different. It doesn't matter if you're looking at it, if you're looking at AI, let's say, for you to assist with something, sometimes you're looking at AI to, let's say, augment with something, sometimes you're looking at it to make decisions autonomously, right? For example, I'm sure you took a flight in the morning, but if you take a look at DG Yatra, you could check in the home, you could walk all the way through an airport till the boarding gate, and if the wrong person comes, the door does close, right? It's not asking for an intervention. It's taking that. So I think that in a way, there is a lot of ability, there's a lot of technology that's available out there. And the question is, how do you make sure that it solves the real business context?
Yeah. That's true, Nanda. For a tech leader or anybody on the tech side of things, one is the technology, then the second is the business, and the third one is soft skills, right? So all three are very, very important for that person to be very, very successful.
If you want to really get the maximum value, all three need to kind of come
all
through.
All three is required. And as part of our Deloitte, the CIO program that we run, I think that's one of the things that we do to making sure that the right amount of technology plus the business issues plus the softer skills, all three come together for them to shine well in their particular role, right? And that's where conversations like to business leaders like you comes in very handy. So
you are absolutely right. But trust me, you do not want to be a solution looking for a problem, right? You would rather have it the other way around.
Yeah, so. Correct. Now we are sitting in Hyderabad, and I come from Bangalore, which is again a GCC capital. The places where you have most number of GCCs, right? So what do you think will be the GCC's role from an engineering standpoint and innovation standpoint to make India to come closer to the third largest economy in the world?
Look, I believe we've got roughly about 1,800, 2,000 GCCs or so this year. I know the number keeps changing. I've heard that we are adding about a GCC a day in India. So I think there is a lot of growth. Now, And frankly, on a more on a lighter note, I'm sure that if we go look around, we'll have more than 2,000 GCC leaders in India, or at least people who believe that they're playing this particular role. But I think what's happening is, the amount of value that's being created by the GCCs, I think is expanding every single day. So they are no longer transactional; those are really extension of the parent organizations. So a lot of the IP kind of work that's kind of happening, a lot of the new development, a lot of cutting edge work, I think is happening in GCCs. And frankly, India has got a very strong talent base, but I think we need to couple it and make sure that there is really strong interconnections with the rest of the organization. Again, depends on the industry, so I don't want to say that one size really fits all. But ultimately, it's really about working together across boundaries and really building best teams. For example, if you come closer to career, right? Our behavior, the foundations of our behavior are in our career way. Frankly, I've got a badge out here that talks about the career way, and it really lays out our purpose, our vision, our values, our culture. It's really the way in which we show up to work every day.
Right.
And especially in GCCs, you got multiple functions, and you're also interacting with multiple entities all around the world. I think it's about really kind of coming together. So we won last year the Chairman's Award for Build Best Teams in Hyderabad. So we've been kind of going through our own journey and transformation, if you will. But it's been a very enriching journey, and I'm super proud of our team. I think we've got a great talent in here, and I think we need to really continue to work together to really drive more and more complex business problems and really get value to the company.
Yeah, congratulations on that, Nanda. Nanda, in terms of India, right? India is increasingly seen as the global hub for GCCs. How is Carrier leveraging that? And for me, according to me, that GCC is going to be one of the pillars which is going to help India become the third largest economy. What are your views?
No, I fully agree with you about about the current state and the future trajectory for GCCs. I believe we've got about 1,800 odd GCCs in India, and we're continuing to add, I guess, a GCC a day now. So there is a lot of GCCs that are growing, and I think a lot of these GCCs are also maturing, Deepa. So frankly, if I understand also some of the feedback from the industry bodies, we expect that there'll be another 25,000-30,000 global roles that will come out of GCC in the next 3 to 5 years. So it's not only the growth of the GCC, but also transformation in the type of roles that the GCCs will do. So we've got a lot of work also ahead of us, and exciting work to really take our GCCs, which are already delivering good value, to really delivering the next level.
Yeah.
And frankly, our talent plays a super important part of it. At the end of the day, that is the core ingredient that we have. And if I take a look at it, I mean, obviously there's different aspects that we need to go address, and we are really addressing all of those here in Carrier. So maybe I'll give you some examples from the Carrier context, but I'll probably it overlays quite well with the overall larger GCC message also. See, when we come to work every day, our behavior is founded in the Carrier way. You kind of see this badge out here, but the Carrier way is, kind of really tells us about our purpose, about our vision, about our values and our culture. It's really the cornerstone of how we show up to work every day. This year, we actually won the Chairman's Award for Build Best Teams in the Hyderabad Engineering Center. And so we've been going through our own journey of transformation, frankly, within us. And it's really all about how do you work together collaboratively across teams and really kind of show up as one Carrier. So in the GCC context, for example, we are growing. That means we are bringing in new talent, and at the same time, we're also transforming the talent that we have. So a core pillar of this is about the learning part of it. And learning is not just a function of one particular department. It's really everybody has a role to play in this particular one. And frankly, at Carrier Technologies, in the Hyderabad center, we have actually broken it down into 3 parts. And this was something that kind of came out interacting with our teams. They said, hey, when you don't know something, what do? You go to school. So they said, okay, let's use the word Pathshala. as one of the programs. At the same time, if you want to learn more about a particular area and kind of bounce off some ideas with somebody a little bit more, let's say experienced in that area, we call those the Acharya sessions.
Okay.
And at the same time, we were also inspired that you need to have a gateway of knowledge, so which we are calling Nalanda. So whether it is Pathshala, Acharya or Nalanda, there is a series of programs that we're really putting together. We have got our new ELPs or Engineering Leadership Program associates who kind of come in every year. They go through a structured rotational program, again similar to most companies, but really I think the interaction between the leaders and the team is really what's going to be key. I spend a lot of time with them, frankly, regularly to make sure that they are, that they have got a better understanding and an appreciation of what they're kind of coming into. At the same time, whatever talent we currently have, we need to upskill and reskill them, not just in the tech side, but I think also in the soft skill side as they work together across teams. And I think these are really foundational elements, Deepa, on how we kind of come together. You need a combination of the business knowledge, you also need technology knowledge, and you also need the soft skill side. And that's how we really leverage. We've got a large ecosystem. You said we're sitting in Hyderabad, there's probably 900,000 people within a 5-kilometer radius of where we are sitting.
Yeah.
It's talent dense.
Yes.
And we need to make sure that we extract and really I think the underlying item is make sure that your talent has very positive experiences.
Right.
If you've got positive employee experience, it will show up in other parts of the particular world. A lot of times, for example, in the past, we used to talk about processes and policies, and the employee experience was the resultant.
Right.
We kind of flipped that actually about a year and a half ago. And we said we're going to start talking about employee experience first, and we'll make sure that whatever we do is consistent with process and policy.
Right.
But it's really that focus on employee experience, I think, that drives, really a lot of excitement and change towards it. I think that's also the reason why we also got recognized within the company. We were able to cut our attrition in half in 2024 with the work that we have done. So exciting times ahead. We've got great talent, really proud of our team, and looking forward to taking it to the next level.
Yeah. Thanks, Nanda. That really puts us, like we were discussing earlier as well, right? That the kind of importance that talent is being given in GCCs and the kind of innovation that's happening from the GCCs has caught our attention of our finance minister as well, and that's going to be one of the key items that will be focused.
Correct.
Right? So that really talks about the great work that leaders like you are doing from GCCs, which is positioning India in the right place to be the driving force from a global capability center standpoint. Thank you very much, Nanda, for that.
Thank you. Thank you, Deepa.